This is Hot Seat with Violet Gonda, the program that puts the newsmakers in the spotlight and confronts the tough issues relating to Africa. So who's in the hot seat? Hello and welcome to the program Hot Seat. My name is Violet Gonda and I have a special guest today, my good friend and colleague, Najiba Ayubi, who is the chapter head of the International Association of Women in Radio and TV for Afghanistan, the IAWRT Afghanistan Chapter, and I am the president of the International Association of Women in Radio and TV. American troops withdrew from Afghanistan as the Taliban took over control of the country. What followed next was a desperate attempt for many to leave the country in search of freedom and safety. The International Association of Women in Radio and TV, or IAWRT, has spent the last couple of months trying to help out some of our colleagues to be evacuated from Afghanistan after they received death threats from the Taliban. Various media watchdogs and international organizations, including the Committee to Protect Journalists, the Journalism and Media Center at Oslo Met University, the US Evacuate Our Allies, and many other friends of IAWRT also tried to help evacuate some of our colleagues. A couple are still stuck in Kabul, while some of those who have managed to escape are still living in desperate conditions in other foreign countries. Today on the Hot Seat program, we speak with Najiba Ayubi, an award-winning Afghani journalist and the only woman who participated in the historic talks between the Taliban and the then Afghanistan government in March. Najiba is also a recipient of the Courage in Journalism Award and also was named one of the 100 information heroes by Reporters Without Borders. She's also the IAWRT Afghanistan Chapter Head, and in the last 3 months have been extremely challenging and concerning. And we at IAWRT have watched helplessly as many of our colleagues were forced to flee their country. And today, Najiba speaks to us from the United States of America. Have world leaders abandoned the women of Afghanistan, especially female journalists? Najiba will speak about her flight from Afghanistan and the desperate conditions as she tries to rebuild her life. Welcome on the program, Najiba.
Thank you, Violet. Let me say my regards to you and your audience. I'm very glad to be here with you and talking about what we saw during 3 months to reach here to US.
It's good to finally get to talk to you because the last few months have really been terrible, but we will hear all about it. First of all, if you can start by maybe giving us a background, because I know that you've never really wanted to leave Afghanistan despite all the dangers and threats to your life. So what made you change, especially after August 15?
I'm working, this is 20 years or more than 20 years, I'm working in the media field. And in last 18 or 19 years, I'm working with the Kilit Group, which is a nonprofit media house. And during these years, we did a lot of activities, media activities like investigative reports and also reporting about corruption and many, many negative things, which was in Afghanistan. We work on that. And many times we receive threats from different people during years. As you told, I didn't want to go out from my country because my country is my love and I wanted to do something even small for my country. But in 15th of August, when Taliban entered in Kabul, again I decided to not go out from Afghanistan. Some of my friends, they remember when they suggested to me to go out from Afghanistan, I said, no, I want to remain here and I want to play my role as an Afghan woman journalist in Afghanistan. But in the 4th or 5th night, when Taliban came to Kabul, it was 19th of August and 9:30 of the evening, a few Talibs came and knocked our door. And we didn't open the door, but we saw in the monitor of our security camera that there were four people and they knocked the door very badly, and we didn't open the door. Then they went and asked from our neighbors why they are not opening the door, and the neighbor said maybe they are not at home. On that night, it was very scary and it was a very difficult night for all my family members. And then until morning, we were very concerned what will happen during the night. When it became morning, we sat together and we decided to go out because we didn't know why they come to our house. And we feel scary a little bit, and then uh, we decided to go out. And that is why in 29 of August, I, with some of my family members, come out from Afghanistan, and finally, after 2.5 months, I reached to US.
Now, Najib, I know a lot did happen from the time that you went from, from the time when the Taliban started knocking at your door. Can you at least describe to our viewers what that was like, what strategy you actually adopted, and also can you recall the harrowing time you had, getting on the plane with your family members, and then also, being told to go back. Can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah, Violet, believe me, leaving Afghanistan for me, it was not an easy decision. It was very difficult because I didn't want to go out from Afghanistan, but the situation come like that. We had no way. We have to leave because we didn't know what will happen. It was a very difficult decision for me. Even we started to go to the airport. Entering the airport was another problem because on that time there was thousand people around the airport. The people they had document or not, all people came around the airport, and we entered to the airport with some coordination which was there. We were 20. We were 52 women with our family members. Some of them family members, some of them alone. We come together. We entered by car in airport. But this time was very, very difficult and scary because the Talib which helped us to enter to the airport, he was very tough and his colleague was very tough. And they were shouting on us too many. And then they had a list and they read our name one and they allow us to go inside the airport. When we entered in the airport, there was two sides. One side was the Taliban, and the other side, which was a line separated this two parts, there was American soldiers. And this Talib uh, submit the list which was our names. He submitted the list to the American soldier, and the soldier take it, and they allow us to enter to the part that there was airplane and these things. We entered there, and then these people said, you are not allowed to have anything in your hand. They said we had one dress and our telephone and some very small money we had with us. They said you are allowed to take your devices, and also you are allowed to have your money, or if the woman have some jewelry. Other things, if you have and other stuff like dress, like very necessary things for washing or for something, you have to put all these things in the garbage. And then they ask everyone to put everything away. And when I arrived to the searching part, there was a woman soldier. She searched the woman, and the man searched the man. And the woman asked me to give me your bag, handbag, and also your computer bag. I said, why? He said, I don't hear why. This is decision. We have to put all these things to the garbage. And they gave me a plastic bag, very tiny, and they gave all this my stuff to the plastic bag, and put my computer bag and my handbag to the garbage. Then we come to the airplane, and we think the airplane will be a airplane which have seat or something. But unfortunately, when we come there, it was cargo airplane. There was no seat at all. And around 400 or 500 people was sitting in the floor of the airplane. And then it had 3 hours flight, and we reached to Doha. In Doha, we went to some camp, which was too many people, around maybe 1,000 people in one like tent, something like a tent. We entered there. The weather was very warm, and they distributed food. After that, after 9 hours, they asked us to come to the airport again. We want to have another flight. And we went there. This plane was a little bit good, and it had seats, and we sit on the airplane, and it fly to Germany. 1 month we remain in Germany. The Germany camp had also other difficulties. In the beginning, when we went there, it was empty tent with some very tiny soldier beds with no mattresses or nothing. And then they said the weather was very cold in the first night. All people which was there, we shake from the coldness. And then all children which was in the tent, they get cold, and they become sick. And they distributed two-time food, which was very less, and nobody, it was not enough for nobody, even for the children it was not enough. And then there was no Wi-Fi and nothing. Our relation, our contact with all my family members and friends was cut. And then I bring two, three women with myself, and we went and talked with the head of the camp and with other representative of the camp. We talked with them. We said we need enough food at least, and we need internet. I'm thankful from the leaders of this camp. All this suggestion was accepted with them, and they made the food 3 time, and also they provided internet for us, and also they provided education classes for children and adults, and everything was a little bit good. And also they distributed very good blankets for us, and also they put stoves in the tents. And slowly, slowly, the situation became a little bit good. And 1 month we remained there. After that, after 1 month, we come to Virginia camp with offshore. It was a camp in a forest by the name of offshore, um, Quantico. When we arrived there, there was 6,000 people in the same time in different tents. Again, we went to the tents. The situation was very bad here because In the first tent we were in Germany, there was two or three family together in one tent. But when we arrived here, 300 people or more than 300 people in some cases, it was all these people in one camp. And we had our bed. Every family had their beds. Then we cover around the bed. Very difficult time. All the time it was noisy, and we had no internet again. The food was not good enough. In this Virginia camp, they gave enough food, but it was not cooked very well. And it was very disturbing, actually, the noise of the people, the noise of the children, and again the coldness. We started advocacy with the leaders of the camp, and again they provided stoves and everything. It was difficult time, Violet. I don't want to remember all these things I feel during this 2.5 months. But I know it was very, very difficult time.
Yes, I can imagine. And all this time, were you traveling with your family, or it was just yourself and some of the women at risk that had managed to be evacuated at the same time with you?
We were a group of 52 people. They were women activists. They were social workers. They were some of them was journalists, men and women. We were 52 people, and some of them was worker, the officers of government or civil society people, designers, artists. We were a combined group. Different people was in our group. Uh, all of them was with their families, and it was family team. With me, my one of my brother and one of my sisters was with me with their
Mhm.
families.
And so tell us, Najiba, about how you managed to be part of this group, because I understand that, because as a lot of people would know, during this period it was very difficult to evacuate people who needed to be sent to a place of safety, and especially female journalists like you. But how did you then manage to get onto this list? I understand that you had to make a presentation in the White House, a virtual White House presentation to plead for your immediate evacuation. Who actually stepped in to help?
When the Taliban entered in Kabul, we lost everything, all achievement of 20 years, and it was a very scary time for everyone, and everyone was concerned because there was unclear situation and nobody knows what will happen. Because before we heard a lot of things that Taliban said, there is all non-Muslims that people are living in Kabul, and we had experience of their government in 20 years back, and people was concerned, and the situation was very scary, and it was like that. And when the evacuation procedure started, um, I want to talk about this as well because it had a lot of mistakes. It was not a proper plan for evacuation. I contacted by different people, the people which was my friends and my colleagues and our organization partners, and too many people, including IWART friends. They contacted me and said what will happen and what we're doing. And all these friends from different parts of the world, they suggested to me that they can add me in some list to go out from Afghanistan. But believe me, in the beginning, I said no. I have no plan. But when these Taliban came on the night, they came on our door. I decided to go out, and then in these days, after this happened on our family and I. Then organization contacted me and they said, we have a list of 100 women activists. We want to take them out from Afghanistan. And I said, it is very difficult for me to go alone because I'm not one person, because my family is dependent with me and I'm the head of the family actually. And also my sisters and brothers are in danger because we all living in one house and it is very difficult to remain them alone. And then I send the names and they put us on the plan. And on 29 of August, by very, very difficulties, which we spent around 4 day and night in the car. And the car was on the street of Kabul, around the Serena Hotel and other part of the city. Finally, the coordination happened and we entered in the air.
So, Najiba, so who actually stepped in to help? Because I understand that mission was part of the Hillary Clinton mission to help women at risk. So, was Hillary Clinton personally involved?
I don't know. Actually, I heard sometime, but I'm not sure because there was few organization assigned, and I think the main supporter was State Department, and some other organization was help them, and I think the Women Affairs Department of the State Department.
Right. And of course, so many women journalists or so many journalists and women activists are still stranded in Afghanistan. Do you think that world leaders have abandoned the women of Afghanistan?
The evacuation plan was not proper. From the beginning, some mistake happened in the airport when the airplane of US came to the airport. Uh, in the beginning, they asked some workers of the airport to come in the airplane. When they come in the airplane without document, without list, without nothing, after these people contacted too many their relatives that there is an opportunity and US want to bring everyone to US. That is why too many people came around the airport, and the exact people that they were in the plan and they were in danger and their life was in risk, these people remain. At the same time, some corruption happened because people, some opportunists, they took money and provided document to the people which they were not activists, not journalists, and they provided documents and they show to the different organization and they put them on the list. There was a very corrupt situation, and that is why a lot of exact people to they have to be out of Afghanistan. Their life is in danger. They remain in Afghanistan. Still, they are there, and uh, I know too many people that they were very active. And I find this disaster when I came to the camp. I saw too many people, they were not even 1 day activists or 1 day journalists. I saw how you came. He said, I was in civil society. I work with civil society, but as a woman journalist and as a civil society activist, I didn't see any activities from these people. And that is why it disturbed me a lot. And I find out in the camps that some very big mistake is ongoing, and people with the exact people are not out, but the people which made fake documents, they are here and they come out. These things happen, unfortunately, and that's why Now we have a lot of people that must go out from Afghanistan and they want to go out or their life is in risk and still they are remaining. I hope that the organization, the safety committee, NAI support media and also some other international organization. I hope they can help these people to go out from Afghanistan. I am very thankful from CPJ that they help some IWART members and also some colleagues from Kilit Group. They help them to go out with some of their families and some of them alone. And we hope other organization which can do something, they do something for Afghan journalists and especially for men and women, especially for women.
Hmm. I think that is one of the challenges that I observed when we were dealing with your situation and also the situation of some of our colleagues, and some of them are still stuck in Afghanistan, is that just watching the way, some of the media watchdogs, like the Committee to Protect Journalists, were, trying to help, journalists like you. But it was also frustrating to see how, a lot of the work that was needed was actually out of their control, because
Yes.
they have to rely on governments. They don't actually evacuate journalists. They don't evacuate people. They can help to do the assessments, to make sure that the security checks are done, help with visa applications and other issues like that. But it's difficult when you're having to deal with governments in this situation. Did you also see the same challenges when you were dealing with media watchdogs?
Yeah, Violet, it was these things was happen. And I'm thankful, as I said before, from CPJ because when they asked me to send by support of IWART, they asked me to send the name of 10 people. I didn't wrote my name on that time because I wanted to help my colleagues as much as I can. I sent the 10 people of IWART members to them, but they just was succeed to help 4 or 5 of them. Two, three of them went with their families out, and two of them still or remain in Kabul. But CPJ tried their best, and finally, when I followed this issue of my other colleague, which remain in Kabul, they said we have a lot of people in the list, and we work on turn and with one to one. I wanted to help all of them, but it is very difficult because we have too many people in the list. The situation of these organizations are understandable because they were not ready for this kind of situation. Too many people at the same time they contacted these organizations. It is understandable because the capacity of this organization was not enough for arranging or doing things for all help for all these people. I know this is very difficult if all people come out from Afghanistan. It is also difficult. And we need women and men journalists inside Afghanistan as well to report that the things which happen in Afghanistan. But the life of the people is also very important to
Yeah,
pass
that's
these
that
life.
that is a very important issue you're raising then, and I actually wanted to ask you about that, because I know for sure, as we said right at the beginning, that you never actually wanted to leave Afghanistan,
Yes.
but you had to, because you started receiving death threats, and some of our colleagues there. But then the biggest challenge that then remains is that. What then happens if most of the vocal journalists or activists leave the country? Who stays behind to cover, and how safe are they? What can you say about this, especially also giving us an understanding of how life changed when the Taliban took over?
Before coming Taliban to Kabul, this issue was started from Helmand province, from some other part of country, because journalists was under threats, and some our very good colleagues was killed in Lashkar Gah and other in Kandahar and some other places. Uh, on that time, the Committee of Protect Journalists, they decided to bring these journalists from different of these provinces to Kabul. When they come to Kabul, the place that these journalists was worked, like Lashkar Gah or Helmand or Uruzgan or Kandahar, this part become without journalists. And after that, it was very difficult to reach to some exact news which happened in these provinces. It was a difficulty which we feel before entering Taliban in Kabul city. But after Taliban came, the scary situation come up, and a big number of experienced journalists and talented journalists left Afghanistan. And this is also a big concern, because right now a lot of things happen in different parts of Afghanistan, but there is no news from this happen in these provinces. Why? Because we have no journalists there, and that is why it is another big concern regarding the news, because things happen, negative things happen, people are killing in different parts of Afghanistan, and too many things happen, but the news is not coming to the media because there is no journalist. But uh, thanks social media and some these things coming to the social media via Facebook or some other social media. But again, the fact checking is very difficult. How we know this thing happened really? Because there is no journalist to take the responsibility of that news. People are putting it in the social media, but fact checking is again another problem. And sometimes we don't know, is it happen or not? I hear too many time in the social media that something happen, put in the Facebook or something, and too many people is asking, is it right? Is it really? It happened really? Because people are not trusting on the social media, but if there is reporting done by a journalist, every people know this is journalist and this news happened, and people can trust. In the social media, people can't trust, and sometimes they can't believe that the things which is in the social media. But at least some news come, and it is good for some media houses to follow that news.
Right, and this also brings me to the question about, because you were talking about what the situation was before the Taliban took over, and the situation now, after the Taliban takeover. But earlier this year, there were talks, negotiations, historic negotiations between the Taliban and the then government, and you were the only woman who participated in these negotiations or at the negotiation table. How did that come about, especially as a woman and a female journalist?
First, about the situation for women journalists and also for all media before coming Taliban. During last 20 years, Afghan media achieved a lot because too many journalists was active, women journalists was active, and too many free media was active in Afghanistan, TVs, radios, print media, and More than 12,000 people was work in this industry. It was a big business as well. But slowly after 2011 and finally after especially after 2014, situation for Afghan media get changed. And slowly the freedom of expression face a lot of limitation. Access to information become very difficult, and a lot of threats on the journalists. Even we lost a number of women and men journalists in different parts of Afghanistan. Journalists lost their life because of their jobs. But slowly these things become very serious, and the last 2 years, even before Taliban, and number of journalists was targeted, and also journalists and civil society activists was targeted, and targeting killing come up, and too many people was killed in different part of Afghanistan. uh, the situation was very scary on that time as well, and we don't know who is killing us. This was very important part of the history, because nobody take responsibility. They killed people. Journalists was killed in the different provinces, even in Kabul, Nangarhar, Helmand, Kandahar, and other provinces. But nobody take the responsibility, and we didn't know who is our enemy. Everyone was blamed the other side. Government said Taliban killing the journalist, and Taliban said no, we are not. These journalists killing by government. It was an unclear situation for all of us. That is why everyone feel very a lot of threats, and we did a lot of limitation on our movement on that time. We protected our offices with a lot of guards, and also the concrete walls and protections and too many things. We did on that time, because we really we were in danger on that time. But when Taliban came, as I told before, a number of journalists left country, journalists and also civil society, and also army people, and the people which they work with, embassies and the international civil society or NGOs, and also too many people went out. Situation for the media right now is access to information is really a big difficulties now. We had this problem during last regimes as well, but now it is the limitation is very high. The freedom of expression is under question now, because there is a lot of things media can't uh, cover it, because they are under threat, and they feel scary, because they think they have no protection. It is a difficult time for Afghan media, which we never think before, that the media of Afghanistan feel like this, because we had a freedom of expression which had no example in our neighborhoods. Even in the Asia, we had a big, uh, a very good freedom of expression. On that time, we had also our difficulties, but the level of freedom was very high, and we was free to talk about the president, about the corruption, about the ministers, about MPs, everyone. We take the risk, but we talk about that. We reported about the corruption cases, about the frauds, about the many things which was happen in the palace or in the ministries everywhere. But now it is very difficult. That the situation become very difficult, and Taliban want to put a lot of limitation on the media, because a few days back they have issued some 8 items that they said, asked to the media to do what and don't do what. And I think now uh, Afghan media feel or face very difficulties, because from one side a lot of journalists, experienced journalists, went out from the city, from the country.
So, Najiba, still with the picture that you've painted in terms of how the journalists are treated in Afghanistan, how were you able to participate in these talks in March, especially as you're a woman and also you're a journalist? And
Um,
these were historic talks between the Taliban and the government, the then government.
oh yeah, there was a trip of President Ashraf Ghani to Doha, and he wanted to uh, talk with Doha or Qatar officials. On that day, we contacted the people in Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We means a consortium. We were there, Afghan Media Consortium. Uh, 10 media was members, 11 or 10 media was members of this consortium. And we contacted government, and we wanted to go to Doha as well and talk with Taliban, and also talk with representative of US, and also with officials of Afghanistan. And they accepted, and they put us in the travel plan. And we 10 people or 11 people went to Doha. When we went there, first we had a meeting with President Ashraf Ghani, and also with his deputy, Amrullah Saleh. We had a meeting with them. After that, we had a meeting with negotiation team members, which was a very good, long and good meeting, informative meeting, because on that meeting we find out how Taliban are acting during the negotiations. And this team of negotiation talk about these what they are feeling, and what they are how they are talking with Taliban, and what Taliban thinking about the future of Afghanistan, and these things. After that, we had another meeting with Zalmay Khalilzad, which was the special representative of US, and also General Miller, which was the head of NATO in Afghanistan. We had the meeting with them. Uh, at the end of the day, in the morning, we contacted Taliban in Doha, and we asked them, we want to meet you. And 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they sent 2 person and 2 cars to us in our hotel. The hotel, which was the president was there, we were there, and the negotiation team was there. Zalmay Khalizat and General Miller was there. All these people was in the same hotel, and Taliban sent 2 person with 2 cars for us to go to their place. We went, all these media leaders, we went to Taliban place, which was a guest house of Taliban. Where, when we entered to the guest house, they host us very well, and they provided fruits and tea, and they did a very good behavior with us. And we sat together, and our colleagues asked me to start the talks. And I started and talk for around 8 or 10 minutes, and talk with them, and say, during this talk, I said, see, we Afghan people need to have a good life like other people of around the world. Our children have the right to do education, or we need to be good country of the world, and our life have to be we need the development, we need this and this and this. And finally, after me, other colleagues also started talking with Taliban. And one of my colleagues asked on that day from one of these Taliban, it was the group of Taliban, my colleagues, which was from a TV, he asked, what do you think about Afghan media? And the Talib answer was very interesting on that day. And after, I think, sometime when I think about that time, I think somehow I disturb because I think this question, really, this question was effective on the situation which we feel afterward. I hope it was not like that. The Talib answer was very interesting. The Talib said, we know media is very dangerous. If they want, they can destroy a government. He said like that. Uh, and finally, we had a 2.5 hours talk with Taliban on that day, which was very good for both of us. And when we come out from this talks, very soon Taliban put this news in their website. On that time, some government officials was not happy with this, so they asked us why you people meet Taliban because you come with the team of the president and you have to not talk with Taliban. And we said, no, we are free media and we want to talk with different part of the war and with different part of the peace. On that time, these people which we met them, they were negotiation team of Taliban. And in the same day, we have met three part: Afghan government, a U.S. representative, and NATO representative, and also Taliban. And we had a picture on that time from meeting of these three uh, sides, and we find out that uh, Afghanistan is not on good track.
Hmm. So, you've spent, a large part of your career trying to encourage and support women journalists in a male dominated society. So, how do you feel right now with all that's happened, especially in the last few months? Because even just listening to you, it's like the silencing of journalists continues. And now that you yourself have also been forced out of the country, what happens then? What happens now? Do you continue doing your work from exile? You are the editor of the Killit Group. So, what can you say about this?
Uh, Believe me, I and the entire people which they come out from Afghanistan in this incident, our thoughts is in Afghanistan. Our body is outside of Afghanistan. Our thoughts, our thinking about our plan, everything we are thinking about our country. And we still, I myself, I didn't come here to remain forever because I heard sometime from some people, they are saying that these civil society activists and journalists, when they went out from Afghanistan, they went because of the better life. Better life for me is my country, in my house, in my office, with my people, with my neighbors, with my colleagues. We think we will go back to our country and we will continue our work, our activities. We want to build our country. And we know this situation which come, we feel many times in Afghanistan, many times it is up and down things. But I'm really concerned about the achievement we lost. We achieved too many things during 20 years. But still, I'm hopeful for my country because the things, the work, and the achievement we had during this 20 years back, it was effective. You can see now a lot of women coming on the street right now, and they ask for their rights, for their education right, for their work right, for their personal life. They are talking with the Taliban very openly. Even their number is small, but it is effectiveness of this work which we did during 20 years. Because last time, and 20 years back, which Taliban was in country, there was no woman come on the street. But now, people or women coming on the street and they are asking because of their right, and this make us hope, and we think now people are awake and they are aware from their rights, especially women. But regarding the news, in the freedom of expression, right now I'm concerned because we lost a lot of arrangement. The system is the start. If I can't say destroyed, I can say the system which we built for free media, for free news, for the these things is a little bit disturbed, and we don't have the proper system which we had 3 months ago. But I'm still hopeful because there is a lot of men and women journalists and activists. They are still working. They are trying to keep alive the media and the freedom of expression, the news. And I know it is difficult time, but I'm also uh, I think this will be not for a long time.
Hmm. And we are all, thinking about you and our colleagues who are now, scattered all over the world. Have you settled yet in America there? And also, have you had a chance to, even since you're the chapter head of IAWRT Afghanistan, and you did mention that several of our members were able to be relocated or to be evacuated. Do you know where they are and how they are?
Yes, actually, Violet, I'm in contact with a lot of them, which are inside of Afghanistan or outside. I'm in contact with them. Some of them are in Ireland, in Canada, in UK, and also in US. But some of them are in Afghanistan. I'm in contact with them and wanted to help them who they are in Kabul or Afghanistan. But some of them we are disconnected with some of them in Afghanistan, and we still don't know where they are, and they are disconnected. Some of them members of IWART, but with a lot of them I am in contact. But I think uh, sometime we need to have a solution for all these things which happen in Afghanistan. Like Taliban have to uh, rethink about the media and about the situation of freedom of expression in Afghanistan and access to information. Because a country government without freedom of expression, without the free media, they can't do anything, and they have to see their picture in the mirror of the media, and after that they can edit the wrong things in their government. And Taliban have to rethink about these things.
That's true. And if you had a chance, to speak to the media watchdogs, media pressure groups, other organizations that could help, what would be your final word in terms of your message to them based
Uh,
on the experiences so far?
Violet, I think right now we need a very strong unity with other journalists around the world. We need the support of our colleagues around the world. Right now, uh, the unity and support of Afghan journalists in different part of the world and also in Afghanistan is very necessary, because the people which they left Afghanistan, they are not resettled yet, and they feel a lot of pressure during this 3 months, and they need help and they need support. And the people which are inside of Afghanistan, they also need some support and help. And the unity have to be kept and be increased. And also these journalists around the world can put pressure on the governments, on the decision makers around the world, and decision makers on the level of the world, that they have to take care about Afghanistan and what happened in Afghanistan, because it is very disturbing. I think every day in Afghanistan we lost a lot of people, and different people are killing and targeting killing in Afghanistan, and no news coming up on the even in the foreign media. It is very difficult time for Afghanistan. The world can't be quiet about Afghanistan. Afghanistan is part of the world, and there is as humanity, and people are living there. The activists, the women journalists, the women students, they all are in the house, and they can't go to school, and the world is quiet about that. This quietness is killing us. This quietness of the world killing Afghan women, Afghan people. Why world is very quiet on what thing which happened on Afghanistan? My suggestion to the world is that please broke the quietness. Please talk about Afghanistan. Afghanistan is in a very dangerous situation, especially women and youths and all people, the students, the women students, they have no the right to go to school. Please broke this quietness. Please put pressure on the Taliban to start education for Afghan women. Please ask them to allow women to go and work, even in any condition they want. But they have to allow women to go to their job back, come on their job, because a lot of women right now, they have no income. How they become they remain live, because uh, a number of women, the widows, they don't have any men in their houses to work for them, to bring money and food for them. They have to work, and these things is needed. Taliban to rethink about all these things, give the right to the woman to in Afghanistan, gave the right of education to Afghan women, gave the right of work to Afghan women, and it is good if we have peace in Afghanistan, but at the same time, only stopping fighting or war is not enough for having peace in a country. We need food, we need job, we need freedom, we need freedom of expression, we need our media. All these things is needing in a society.
That was Najiba Ayubi, the editor of the Khalid Group in Afghanistan and IAWRT Afghanistan Chapter Head, who is at present a refugee in the United States of America. Najiba has been fighting for freedom of expression before, during, and after the Taliban takeover. And we wish you all the best in America, where you are presently stationed, and hope that there's a solution in the near future so that you get to go back home and do the work that you love so much, Najiba. Do take care.
Thank you, Violet. Thank you very much.
You've been watching The Hot Seat with Violet Gonda. For more programs like these, follow at Violet Gonda on Twitter and YouTube, or visit www.violetgonda.com. violetgonda.co.uk.